Alright guys, we are here to discuss One of Us is Lying. It is the book that was chosen for book club this month. I absolutely loved it. Of course, there's going to be spoilers. I'm warning you now. And the truth is, I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about the book. Even though it's been on my TBR for a while and I've been dying to read it, the only reason I questioned myself was two things really is sometimes when you build up something in your head, you can be disappointed. And that's how I felt about The Silent Patient. I still really liked the book, but it wasn't like, oh my god, 5 stars, like I thought it was going to be, because there was such a build-up of it that I had such high expectations that weren't met. This book, I worried that was going to be the same thing. No, all my expectations were met. And two, I kind of spoiled myself because I had to read the questions last week for you guys. That was last week's video. And one of the questions specifically mentions, which question is it? Number 5, did you suspect that Jake was involved? So when I read that, I went, oh, I just ruined it for me, didn't I? So I went, now I'm probably not going to enjoy the book as much because I already know who did it, you know? But no, I absolutely loved the book, and I was still very, very shocked by the ending. So let's get right into this. I'll say I am still dealing with my cold, so I apologize if I cough. Whenever I have to talk a lot, it happens. Number 1, did you think the title suits the book? Did it add or take away from the plot? So the book is called One of Us is Lying, and the whole point of it is because the Bayview 4. There's 4 of them that are suspected of killing, or they think all 4 might have done it together. And the whole point is you think one of them is lying because you think one of them committed the murder. So I think the title is very fitting. I will say right from the get-go, I did not think it was any of them. Was that because I knew Jake was involved? Or would I have thought that either way? I don't know. I can't answer that question. I think it would have made sense too, as, you know, not that I've ever written a novel, but it would make sense if I think about it on the author's point of view for it not to be one of them, for it to totally shock you. So I think the title was really well done, even if it's not exactly what was the plot of the book. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be the Bayview 4. One of Us is Lying. One of the characters is lying. It doesn't have to be Cooper, Addie, Browen, or Nate. It could have been one of the other characters, which is what happened, you know? So I really enjoyed the title of the book. Definitely, like, gets your attention. You guys know I love the cover of it. I thought the cover really caught your attention. I would show it to you, but I literally left it on the couch. But I showed it, not the questions video. I want to say it was like the announcement, like, oh, this is the book we're reading for this month, and I talked about the cover. So definitely go check out that video if you're interested in that. And I know, actually, Charmaine is actually a different cover. I don't know if she has the UK version. I know she told me sometimes in Canada they get the UK version of books, or if it's just a different edition, you know, especially when it's a really popular book, they will have different covers. But I really, really like the cover of the one I had. Number 2, what is the importance of social media and One of Us is Lying? Would the concept have worked as well without it? I think media in general was important. You know, having the cameras in their face, people wanting to interview them, it really, like, affected their lives, and the author did really well at portraying that. Social media definitely made a big difference with the About That website, or app, or whatever it was that Simon ran, you know, the news stations, and, yeah, I mean, social media is a big thing nowadays. You know, obviously you guys are on social media right now. YouTube is social media. TikTok. Me working at a high school, I see my kids on social media all day, every day. I have to remind them to get off their phone. It is a very big thing. And I love that they showed how much social media can affect somebody. It showed how all 4 of them were seen as the devils. Like, they were these bad kids that did something wrong. And then all of a sudden it twisted to these 4 are the angels and someone else did it. You know, Cooper's storyline specifically, like, he was gay, and he came out, you know, he didn't come out as gay, he was forced to come out as gay, and, you know, people felt weird about it, and then all of a sudden, he saves Addie's life, and he's this gay hero. It just shows that media can really influence people, and I do think it is a very big, important part of the story, especially the About That website or app, whatever it was that Simon created, it literally had the kids on edge. Like, Nate had Simon kicked out of the party for homecoming, and it had Browning on edge all the time, like, oh, do people know, is does he know I cheated, is it gonna come out? It had Addie on edge, like, oh, I cheated on TJ, is that gonna come out? Because when I talked about this book before I read it, I talked about how it kind of reminded me of like a Gossip Girl, because Gossip Girl was a huge show too that kind of had the same concept. It was someone who secretly ran this like website or app, and they would talk about the people in their high school. And it literally reminded me that, except it had this whole like edge to it because someone was murdered. So I think social media definitely played a very important part in the story, and I don't think it would have worked as well without it, for sure. I don't think it would have worked at all without it. Number 3, of the secrets the main characters were keeping, who surprised you the most, the least, and why? And I would have to say, I don't know, like, all right, so it says characters. It doesn't say Bayview 4. The character that surprises me the most is Janae. I don't think I could live with myself knowing what she knew. And I know she didn't want to be a part of it. She wasn't a part of it technically. It was all run by Jake. He was the puppet master. He had this recording of her. So I understand. I don't think she's a bad person by any means. I think she was stuck in a shitty situation, but that definitely surprised me. I did not think she was involved at all. I just thought she was crying because she lost her best friend. So I was pretty surprised by her. Now, in the question, if you're taking it as which character's secret most surprised you, and I focus on the Bayview 4, it would be Cooper. Which is kind of wrong of me. I don't like heteronormative. Like, I shouldn't assume someone is straight, why does they have to come out as gay and we never have to come out as straight? Like, just love who you love, truly, is what I believe. But I just didn't expect it of him, which is wrong. Why? Because he was a baseball player and he was into sports. Maybe it was just because he had that girlfriend, Keely. But you knew he was cheating because he got a text from somebody named Chris. I think it being a K definitely threw me off. I thought it was a female. But you find out he's European. He's from London, so that could be why his name was with a K. But that one did surprise me, of the Bayview 4. But of all the characters in general, the one that surprised me the most was Janae. And technically Simon. Simon's the one that surprised me the most. To, like, he clearly wasn't a good person with running about that and doing what he did. But I didn't think he was that bad of a person. When you find out that he was willing to let these people go to jail for murdering him, knowing he killed himself, to make this whole elaborate plan is crazy. Like, like, murder is wrong in general, but when it's premeditated, there's a whole another level to it. People literally think this out and, like, how can I get away with it? And, it's one thing, it's wrong either way. Don't take me the wrong way, guys. But in the heat of the moment, versus, like, this is what I'm gonna do, plan A, plan B, or step 1, step 2. Like, I can't imagine. I just don't have that kind of brain. And he literally had everything planned out, even to the moments after he died. And it's insane to me. So yeah, the big shocker was definitely Simon. Especially, like, and then when you find out he was on those, what was it, like, websites about school shootings, and he was saying that they weren't being creative. Like, that's just so fricked up. And it's weird because I've been thinking about that a lot, ever since what happened in Nashville. And if you guys don't watch this channel regularly, I am a teacher. We actually had a fire drill today, and we actually talked about that while we were outside waiting to be clear to go back in the building, because I'm new. So I was basically like, hey, what would I have to do if there was an intruder? Like, what is the steps? And I hate that I haven't even have to think about that. Me and Trimene actually texted late one night talking about that. And, because you guys, what was I going to say? I totally lost my train of thought. But, yeah, it's just so, that was just insane to me. After Simon, Janae definitely shocked me. And if I have to base it just on the Bayview 4, Cooper shocked me. I definitely want to hear your answer to that question. Whether it be, within the Bayview 4 or all the characters in the book, please let me know which character's secret, like, surprised you the most. Which one surprised you the least? I think Cooper too, because it's like, oh, okay, he was juicing, he was on steroids, but then you find out he wasn't. So you're like, so what was his secret? You know what I mean? So he surprised me. The least, I don't know. Addie, she admits to it. You know she cheated on TJ. You knew she was uncomfortable even before they talk about the cheating. She was uncomfortable even just being around him. She was like, "Oh, is TJ gonna be there?" So that one obviously didn't surprise you that you find out it's true. Number 4, each member of the Bayview Four changes throughout the course of the novel. Did you have a favorite character, and did your opinion of them change by the end of the book? And did you have a least favorite character? Even though Addie's didn't surprise me at all, she was the one that surprised me the least, she is the character I ended up loving the most. And I think it's because she did change so much throughout the novel. In the beginning, she was like this meek little girl that did everything Jake wanted. She just wanted to be popular, and she did a complete 360. Especially that moment where she chops off her hair. And then another moment where Olivia runs up to her and was like, "Oh my God, Cooper's gay," and she could care less. Like if that was anybody else, they'd be like, "Oh my God, Olivia's talking to me again." Yeah, and then they would be catty and be like, "Oh my God, I know. Can you believe it?" But no, she shot her down. She turned around, left, and was like, "I'm gonna hang out with my real friends," because clearly Olivia, Keely, Vanessa never really cared that much for her anyway. So she's definitely the one that surprised me the most. Especially at the end, she confronts Janae, she confronts Jake, she almost dies. Like, she is a super strong character, especially considering all the stuff that her mom puts in her head. I love when she stood up to the mother and she was like, you're the last one to give me romantic advice. I don't have to want TJ just because he's the only man that's looking at me right now. Like, I'm so glad she had Ashton in her corner. She was one of my favorite characters. And then which one did I like the least? Simon. I can't dislike any one of the Bayview Four. I honestly really enjoyed all their characters. But yeah, if I had to pick a least favorite, Jake and Simon. I think everyone would agree with that one. Yeah. All right, so that was number 4. Sorry, guys. Number 5. So that's the one I said that was kind of ruined for me. Did you suspect Jake was involved? So clearly I read the questions, so I knew he was involved. So as I was reading this, I had, that thought, and I was like, oh my God, he did it. And then when they were like, oh, the car accident was a distraction, someone snuck in, I was like, Jake did it. Jake snuck in, and he put the peanut oil in his cup. I said, and I thought about, especially that moment when Addie's like, oh, Jake's the one that wanted me to go to the nurse's office to get him Advil or whatever it was. I was like, oh my God, he made her go to the office to make it look like she took the EpiPens. Like, it was him. It was him. So obviously because I read the question, I already knew he was involved. That wasn't me being a detective. I was spoiled by the questions. But I did not realize he didn't technically kill Simon. He didn't kill Simon. That's the part that shocked me. So I still really enjoyed the book because the whole time I'm thinking, oh, it was Jake, and it wasn't. And nobody killed Simon. Simon killed himself. I thought that was insane. I really wonder sometimes what goes through the brains of these authors. Like, I would never think of that. I am not creative enough. I thought that was an amazing twist. But you find out Jake still is very much involved because he's the one making the Tumblr posts after Simon passes. He's the one that has the evidence so he can frame Addie in the future. Do I think the same events would have taken place if he wasn't involved? I don't know. That's a tough one. I do feel like Simon still could have gone through with it. There just would have been no Tumblr posts. So I don't think it would have garnered as much attention. But it definitely still could have happened. It just wouldn't have been as compelling. It wouldn't have been as good of a storyline. It wouldn't have been as easy. It definitely helped him having someone to help him kind of like pull the puppet strings after he passed. And I think it's crazy that Jake knew all this and was okay with it. Like, at least Janae was sad. Janae was trying to stop him, put some sense into him, and Jake was told, oh, you're going to off yourself? Okay, what do you need help with? That is awful. That is insane to me. Like, he is a sick, that's already being a sick individual. And then what he did to Addie, to actually put her skull against a rock and be ready to kill her because she cheated on him, that's definitely abusive behavior. Like, she never talks about him hitting her while they dated. He was very controlling. He did control what she wore, how her hair looked. That's already mental abuse right there. That's already something you want to steer away from. But he definitely obviously had the capability of being physically abusive. And he is a shitty human being. That is for sure. All right. Number 6. At what, if any point in the book, did you figure out what was going on? Was there a clue that gave it away? So like I said, I did read the question, so I knew Jake was involved. But like I said, the whole time I thought he was the murderer. So I had no idea it was that Simon killed himself until Chris stacks the post notes. So Janae was the one that like made it official. Like, she's like, oh, he did this, he had this planned. But you already like know that that's a possibility when Chris is like, well, let's stack the post-it notes and see if none of you guys did it, which you're saying you didn't, and you're saying the teacher didn't do it, who does that leave? And then you see on the post-it notes, Simon is depressed, and you see Janae is depressed, and then it clicked. Like, did you guys get it at that moment, or did you need Janae to tell you? I definitely picked it up in that moment. You're like, oh my God, he's depressed. He did it to himself. But because I know Jake's involved, because of the question, I said, okay, so Simon did it, but Jake helped him. Is exactly what I thought with that. You guys let me know the answer to that one for sure. Number 7. What are my overall thoughts on the book? Would you recommend it? 100,000%. Even me knowing Jake was involved, even me having that spoiler, which I thought would ruin the book for me, it did not. I absolutely loved this book. I would 100,000% recommend it. It gets 5 stars for me. Like, usually when I get a little clue like that, it ruins the book for me. I'm like, oh, the book's spoiled, but whatever. I'm going to read it for book club. I know it was him. Let's see how he did it. You know what I mean? And no, it was still just as good with even me knowing that spoiler. I will say I thought about the car accident a lot, like, before it was thought of. Like, I'm like, nobody mentions the car accident, but don't they think that was kind of convenient? Like, they didn't even get out of the car to exchange insurance information. They just, like, drive off, and nobody thinks that's weird. I don't know how I got off on that tangent, but... So I do, because I do feel like I do pick up on things very easily. So I might have picked up on the Jake thing even if I didn't know it. So that's why I mean, like, any little hint usually ruins a book for me. But no, even with me knowing Jake was involved, this book was still incredible, and I still 100,000% recommend it. And then the last question is something we do for every book club book, and it's, who would you cast in the main roles, or alternative talk about the actors who are in the show and what you think of them. So I had told you guys how I usually always like have somebody pictured in my mind as I'm reading the book. I work in a high school now, and because the book is set in a high school, I actually not replaced, but in my mind, I thought of mostly my students at work, to be honest with you. Some of them like fit the profiles. And that's who I thought of as I was reading the book. So it wasn't actors. So I looked up, because I have not watched One of Us is Lying. I know Charmaine has. I don't know if she watched the whole thing. So this is the cast right here of One of Us is Lying. I feel bad because I can't not say half of these names. I'm even wondering, is this filmed in like Europe or something? Because they have very like unique names. But anyway, Mark McKinnon is Simon. And I could see it. I'll show you each individual one. Barrett Carnahan is Jake, and I can kind of see that too. He looks like the all-star boy, but something in that smile, you know. And Nate, the guy that plays Nate, is kind of attractive, but he has the long hair, and he's a little edgy. I could see that. And then you know that Addie's character's blonde, but then she chops off her hair and dyes it, so they picked like a pretty blonde, which doesn't surprise me. Cooper is a very attractive, like, all-star character too. And then I like that for Brownin and for Maeve, which is the sister, they did pick like Hispanic actresses, because I think that was very important. She even said how her father like instilled in them like to be hardworking, because he had to be very hardworking because he had to prove himself because of his race. So this is the character right here that plays Browen. I have not heard or seen any of these actresses before. You let me know if you have. She's actually Dominican Republican, from what I've seen. This is the one that plays... Oh, she's so pretty. Yeah, I can definitely see her as, what do you call it? Addie. This is her right here. Super duper pretty. This is Nate. Yeah, he has that bad boy look. Oh, and blue-eyed. And I'm pretty sure he was described as a blue-eyed character. So I'm glad they got that. I like when they fit the descriptions. And then this is Maeve. And like I said, she actually is a Puerto Rican actress. Oh, okay. This is Jake. Like I said, bad boy. But I mean bad boy. Like the good boy, because Jake was like the popular jock. But with an edge. I could see that. You guys let me know what you think. This is Simon. And I think this one is like very fitting. I don't know what it is about his look. But maybe because he looks like there's more to him. Like there was definitely a lot to Simon. He had many layers. And this is him right here. Definitely like those first few pictures for sure. He looks like very dark and brooding, and like he has a lot of thoughts in his mind. And then I will show you Cooper. This is Cooper right here. I think that was the only characters for the questions. I think it was just the Bayview. Yeah, it was the Bayview 4 plus Simon. I definitely want to read the second book. I know right now it is up on the poll. I think it closes the day you guys are watching this. So tomorrow for me, but today for you guys. So definitely go to Charmaine's channel. I will link it down below. Go check out our community poll and vote. She actually texted me today that it is a tie. It is a tie between One of Us Is Next, which is the sequel, and another book. I was one of her suggestions. You guys know which one I want to win, but I'll be happy with both. Honestly, either way, I'm going to read One of Us Next on my own, and I'm definitely dying to check out that. Is it on Netflix? It's either Netflix or Amazon Prime. I got to look into it, but I definitely want to I definitely want to watch the show. But I would like to read the second book first. So I'm going to start reading the second book whether it wins or not. But definitely go vote over on Charmaine's poll and help break that tie. It's the first time that's ever happened over here at Book Club. So like I said, she'll be linked down below. You guys are watching this on a Thursday. That's my book club day. Friday's vlog. Saturday's outfits of the week. Sunday is self-care Sunday. Mask is Mask Monday. Mask is Mask Monday. Oh my God. Monday is Mask Monday. And Tuesdays and Wednesdays are unboxings and hauls. I hope you guys have been enjoying the content on my channel. If that sounds good to you, definitely consider subscribing. Hit the notification bell so you're notified next time I upload. And if you like me, you like book club, you like any of the things I mentioned, give the video a thumbs up. It really helps the YouTube algorithm. But that is it for this video, guys. Be safe.